Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy Good, and joining me once again is my go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Joe Lever. And Joe, if I were to say the words, "Wait, I'm coming undone," what would you say in response? Something. I'm coming undone.
Irate.
I'm coming undone too late. I'm coming undone. What looks so strong, so delicate. How you doing?
Saw it live. It was a good time.
Yeah, man. We've seen them live twice now. Isn't that great?
Yeah, I actually played that song the last time we saw them.
It's all a blur for me. I think it was blood was pouring out of my eyes. Anyway, I rate that line. I can't get it in my head. I think I still missing it. I probably just did in the beginning there. He never says I'm late. He says I rate. I always say I'm late because he's not. He's like, I'm late. I didn't make it on time. Like, that's my biggest fear coming out. We're not just talking about Corrin though. On this show, we love to talk about games, movies, TV, or pop culture in general, movies and things like that. A bunch of different things. And this week we're gonna do something a little bit different because we had some questions come in from our lovely Legionnaires talking about upcoming Godzilla vs. King Kong film. I have not seen the trailer yet, even though I think I've already been spoiled on the big twist. Not really surprising. And I'm not going to ruin it for anybody else here who hasn't seen it, but I am an old school Godzilla fan, for those who don't know. Joe might know this, but I used to watch the Godzilla shows, like the movies, when I was a kid, a ton. I'd have my mom trace the boxes or draw the monsters on the boxes, like Space Godzilla and stuff. And I just was infatuated with them. And even as an adult, I realized that they're guys in suits, on sound stages. And that's probably how they cranked them out so fast. And the human drama was never super good. It's usually aliens that came just from outer space and were trying to team up with one of the bad monsters to fight Godzilla. Whatever else. But I love Godzilla. Godzilla is one of my favorite fictional characters of all time, and I thought today would be kind of fun to go back over some of his villains, the ones I know best, maybe a few that might be newer to folks, and talk about the ones that have been seen in live action, and maybe what we could see down the line, potentially. Who knows? And today we're going off of ScreenRant.com's Godzilla Movie Villains Toho Explained. So they put 15 monsters on there. Plenty I'm familiar with, a few I'm not familiar with that I kind of want to dig into today. Before we start, though, Joe, Godzilla, we've seen Godzilla 2014. We saw it in IMAX together. Basically, we were there for the roars, which thankfully they played one roar before the movie even started, and it shook the whole place. So it was
that was cool. I won't lie.
That was great. But where do you stand on Godzilla? Do you love him, hate him? What do you feel?
The new stuff I appreciate. Okay. I've always been a fan of monster movies to a certain degree. I like kind of the lore behind Godzilla and the nuclear energy and all that good stuff. It's kind of cool. And then even the Monarch background and history there and how that ties in. I think it's fun. I do like it. I try not to get caught up in the whole, well, really on Earth, he could never support his own weight.
Yeah.
And all that good stuff, So yeah, I appreciate it, and I've always been one for aesthetics and monster design and stuff like that, and I branch off into horror and monster movies in that realm as well. So this being more of the sci-fi side of things, I like it, and I guess I always have kind of like Godzilla. I did enjoy what was it, the 2001 or 1999 version?
Oh, you're talking 98? About the 98 or 7 one? That's the one that's critically panned, that one with Matthew Broderick?
Yeah. And the eating fish and all that. And it always had boat hull snout for some reason. It was always a little odd, but it was a little more, nimble looking, and the scale wasn't quite as big is the current modern Godzilla, who I think is more reflective of the original. But even that one I did appreciate and kind of like. I thought that was a well done movie for its time. And now I think they've definitely taken a step up the ladder with the 2014 and then most recently, the 2019 or 20 version?
Yeah, I think it was 19. And I could be wrong. Was it 2014 or 16? I forget whichever one that Godzilla with the The
I think it was 14.
Yeah, it was
Because
okay.
we saw it in Rosedale, right at the mall,
Yeah.
AMC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. If you want to come to Minnesota, come to there's like 2 or 3 IMAXs here. Like, yeah, I think there used to be more. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, what I was gonna say though about all that, Joe, is side note about Zilla. They call it Zilla now. The one from the Matthew Broderick Godzilla film is what Toho
Really?
did. Toho, who owns the rights to Godzilla, and I think originally might have okayed the design for that version of Godzilla when they were doing it. They bought the rights back for that specific version of Godzilla, named it Zilla, just Zilla, and in one of these big, like the biggest Godzilla fight movie, it's called like End Wars or something, and Godzilla fights every monster like from his rogues gallery, and Zilla's in there, and Godzilla, like original recipe Godzilla, like destroys regular Zilla, like crushes it into like the Sydney Opera House or something. Like it's one of those things that they like bought the rights back just to like crush it underneath their boot and be like, that's what we think of your Godzilla. We don't think much of it. And it's like, oh, poor Zilla. I was like, oh, Zilla didn't ask for this. But yeah, yeah. So obviously you have some familiarity with the franchise, but you didn't watch King of the Monsters like we talked about before the show.
I have not seen the latest and greatest.
Okay, that's all right. Well, that's something we're going to talk about a little bit today, because there's a few monsters in there that might be on this list, might not be on this list, that I do want to get into just a little bit. But yeah, so if you're unfamiliar with Godzilla and those villains or those monsters, then maybe look this up. I might link it so you guys can check it out as well, and you can follow along with us. But at the tip top of this list, Monster Zero, aka King Ghidorah, 3-headed dragon from space, which is a pretty crazy thing to think about. I remember seeing this one back in the day in one of the old Godzilla movies. I think it's Godzilla versus Gigan, and Godzilla or Gigan, who we'll get to later on, but Ghidorah team up together to fight Godzilla. And yeah, Joe, I know you're aesthetically kind of minded. 3-headed dragon shooting lightning from space. Does this live up to that potential for you when you're just thinking about that idea? You know what I mean?
I want to know how did he come on a meteor, like was he dormant coming in on a meteor? And even then, whatever. See, I can't get caught up in the actual, like, how does it work thing. Like,
don't worry about it.
What does this thing breathe? It doesn't breathe. It doesn't need oxygen.
We talked about the space
so it's
dust.
Not a living organism. It's
space dust.
Yeah, space dust. Yes, of course. But of course. I mean, what do I think about it? I wonder how it gets anything done. You know, wouldn't they just fight all the time? Like, no, I want to go this way. No, I want to go that way. Like, I feel like that. Yeah. No, I mean, I kid. In all seriousness, I mean, it is a pretty aesthetically. I mean, it's a pleasing design for a monster. It's pretty. What's the word? I mean, there's some gravitas to its design. Like, it looks like it could wreak some havoc and take care of some people. I mean, just in the imagery I see here on the list, I mean, they show it kind of like head in the clouds kind of a thing. Monstrous as all get out, and it's impressive.
Yeah.
And the whole lightning aspect of it. I mean, I haven't seen that particular film, so like I wonder if there's some sort of like organic feeling to it, like electric, like bioelectric charge to it, kind of like an electric eel, so to speak. I know it can shoot it out in like more of a beam style thing, but I hope they at least give it kind of like an organic feel, instead of like, okay,
I'm sorry, it's just like a lightning laser beam. It's true to the old-fashioned ways, Joe.
That's okay.
Yeah, once you see it, maybe you'll be like, "Oh, I get it." The nice thing about it is it like dusts people. If I remember correctly, like if it hits somebody, they're just turned to dust, like they're gone. It's not like they got zapped and they're like and they fall over. It's like and you're like, "Oh wow!" Like like just incinerated or just disintegrated, just which is pretty cool.
It's a lot of energy.
It's a lot of energy. I don't exactly understand how King Ghidorah works, but again, we're not here to think about that. More so just the design. And once you actually see this film, which you might because it's on HBO Max,
wings, feet, one tail.
So guess what? It's got it's one tail that splits into 3, and the way they present it in the film King of the Monsters is a little bit different than what I'm used to. So you were talking about the heads before, and they apparently all have kind of a personality. I think there's the one in the middle is like the leader, but the way they kind of move around is they treat the tail like a rattlesnake, sort of. So the three tails will kind of come up behind it and will shake like it's ready to attack, like it's warning you. So that's a pretty cool aspect of it. So this thing, it doesn't have any feet. I shouldn't say it doesn't have arms the way we think. It has big feet, so it's probably more of like it's like a reverse worm. Is that possible? Wait, is that... No, it'd be a regular worm. Yeah, because like dragon worms, like the ones, if they have 4 legs, they're a dragon, but if they only have the 2 legs, they're a worm. Either way, big chunky legs. It's got 2 big chunky legs, typically, usually. And then it uses its kind of other heads as, obviously, attackers, but like arms sometimes too. If they want to grab prey, they'll kind of grab it with 2 of those, like, kind of grab and pick up with that, and then the other one can can bite as well, or can wrap around kind of like a snake because they have super long necks. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy monster. There's a lot going on there, but the lightning breath, kind of his big kind of move, which is pretty neat. I like it. I was happy that they actually adapted that lightning breath. I was like, oh, they're gonna do lightning breath? They totally are, which is cool. So yeah, that's King Ghidorah. Where does this kind of like sit for you right now? Do you like it?
Do I like King Ghidorah? I mean, I do. I was just looking up some more imagery of King Ghidorah.
You get those old
in
images.
All its renditions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some older ones.
I don't know if they did that like puppeteering, because there's usually like a guy in there, so maybe he used his arms for the other heads, or if they had it on strings and they moved it around, because they would kind of like sit next to it and kind of move around a little bit. I remember it always had this really interesting kind of echoing noise that it would make, this kind of reverberating, kind of more high-pitched noise, which is pretty cool, like when it shot lightning. Yeah, it's a cool monster, and there's actually a different incarnation, which I think they're hinting at potentially in the future, which is Mecha King Ghidorah, where it lost its center head and they replaced it with a robot head. Believe it or not, I'm going to grab this right now for our viewers at home who actually want to see this. If you're only listening to this, I'm sorry, but this is Mecha King Ghidorah. And as you can see here, he gets some cool metal wings. And I don't have his tail on right now. I don't know where his tail is, but this is Mecha King Ghidorah. Pretty cool, huh?
Who did this for him?
This would be... I don't know if it's the same group who ends up making, like, Mecha Godzilla. There are people who, like, will find, like, this might be, I think, after he dies, like, they can, like, resurrect him and then, like, try to control him. Because there's always people trying to do that sort of thing. It's like, the middle head was missing, so they replaced it with a robot head, and they're like, we can control it now, but then they give it, like, metal wings and all this stuff. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Toho, 1994, but made in China, so there you go. Made in China, Japanese company in the United States. Here we go. But anyway, yeah, so that's King Ghidorah and Mecha King Ghidorah. I don't remember if, like, Mecha King Ghidorah, I'm sure it's, like, stronger in some ways. I don't know if, like, the laser or the lightning in its metal head is better or different. But that's something that I really wouldn't be surprised to see from what they hinted at the end of Godzilla King of the Monsters. I was like, oh, they're doing Mecha King Ghidorah. Like, it's probably going to happen. Yeah. Anyway, Joe, let's move on to the next one down this list. This is one I am not familiar with, and I feel bad. Kamacuras. They're like big ant monsters.
Giant ants.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen this movie. Apparently, Godzilla kills 2 of them. One gets away, but then he ends up fighting. Oh, it's Final Wars, not End Wars. Final Wars fights another one in Final Wars. I don't know. There's not too much to say about them.
They're not ants. They're apparently giant mantises.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. My bad too. They look like giant ants as well. They're okay. I don't know. I think it's the eyes. Like I kind of want them to do more with it. They don't have much personality. It looks like trash mobs almost. Just like kill them all.
Creepy nonetheless. Kill it with fire before it reproduces.
And especially they're going to be huge. And then speaking of kind of like in this same vein with like kind of animals being blown up, we've got, I think it's Ebirah, which is like a giant lobster or crab.
Yeah, looks lobster-esque.
This is one of those things that you would find like on Skull Island, like where Kong is. Like, it'd just be like, it's a giant lobster crab, and you'd be like, oh no! Like, it's like just that's all it is. Like, I don't know. It doesn't, not super compelling to me. I think the idea is there, but I don't know. What do you think about this one?
It doesn't stand out like what you would get out of King Ghidorah or
Yeah.
even Mothra to a certain degree, or what's the Pteranodon one?
Oh, Rodan.
Rodan.
We'll
Yeah,
talk
I
about
mean,
Rodan.
those are
Yeah.
standouts. They're more monster esque, like Godzilla. And I think in order for it to be a compelling and interesting uh, villain in the group, they got to stand out a little bit. They got to be able to stand on their own. And
Oh
if
yeah.
it's just a reincarnation of something that we have normal sizes of, I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah, it just seems a little anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Plus,
Totally.
it needs to be something that's got a creepy vibe to it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Something that actually
Sinister.
kind of scares people in the first place,
Yeah.
maybe.
Oh, totally. Well,
Yeah.
apparently, I'm just reading this here now. It says that originally Toho was supposed to use this one to fight King Kong. I didn't read that before, so I'm happy that Toho and I were on the same page. And they're like, yeah, and then we had to fight Godzilla, and Godzilla ripped its claws off, and it got destroyed. You're like, you're like, okay, because against King Kong, this would be more of a fight because like giant ape versus giant crab. There is a concept, but when you're like giant crab versus super dinosaur that shoots lasers, you're like, yeah, it kind of loses a little bit there, which is okay. That's fine. But yeah, it's fine. Not a huge fan. Next, fine. We'll say fine. It's fine. We don't need to rank all these, but we might.
I might pick my favorite.
Pick your favorite. Pick your favorite. The next one, I'm not familiar with this one. I don't know why, because it seems like one that I would have liked as a kid. But it's a Gabara. It's like this one's weird because apparently like a kid dreamed about Gabara being defeated by Godzilla because because the kid like dreamt him into reality or something. Some of these movies get really nuts. I don't know. I think there's supposed to be something here, obviously, where it's about bullying. And this is where like the manifestation comes from. And Godzilla, for people who don't know, Godzilla is really like the manifestation of the Japanese culture's fear of the atomic age and what happened at the end of World War II. So that's why Godzilla is very poignant. So I don't know if they were trying to kind of recreate that again in a smaller way, maybe potentially with this idea here. Again, I'm not super familiar with this one. He looks okay. He looks like kind of a Godzilla ripoff almost. You know what I mean? Like not that he's bad. He just looks like he's kind of like, I don't know.
But with like a weird reptilian cat face.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing that's kind of like, it almost looks like it doesn't belong next to Godzilla. You know what I mean? Like fighting him. But
apparently he was beaten up on Godzilla's son on Monster Island, and then Godzilla squashed him.
Yeah, so apparently Godzilla's got a son, and it happens a lot where like the other monsters beat up on him to start the fight, or like kidnap Godzilla's son, or whatever else.
I hate
yeah.
I hate to laugh.
I'm sorry. Was Gabara like a manifestation of Godzilla's son at school?
No. What? No, it was a manifest. Just as you said, a boy dreaming about his bully at school, and he dreamt up Gabara on Monster Island, making like what he was on Monster Island with Godzilla's son,
Gotcha.
and then the boy dealt with his own fears by having that dream and imagining Godzilla taking out that bully.
I was just afraid I misread it, and I was like, wait a sec. Godzilla's son was at school, and then he got picked on by someone, and then he like dreamt up this other. I was like,
monsters gotta learn, bro.
Yeah, they gotta learn, dude. This next one, we were kind of joking about it a little bit before, and again, we joke about them, but in the most loving way, because like if we were given the chance to make these things, not necessarily that we'd make them much better, but Hedora here, which Joe kind of Ragman, seaweed guy, a smog monster that was born from a blob from space. There's a lot of that going on, fed on pollution. Again, kind of like Gabara right there. It's kind of like the Godzilla theme of like, what if, the atomic age took a form? It'd be Godzilla. What if bullying took a form? It'd be Gabara. What if pollution took a form? It's Hedora. Sure. I think that's the idea, right?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Just not as compelling. He looks fine. It's like a gigantic seaweed monster with a few eyeballs on the top.
But I think they're going for like the pollution, smoky,
Yeah,
sludgy
that's
deal. So
true.
like maybe sludge at the center, but then fumey smoke out at the outer reaches.
Hmm.
I think it was made to look kind of flowy and fluid.
Yeah. Well, apparently, though, he could stand up to even the atomic breath of Godzilla, which I would imagine it'd be hard to take this guy down because he is flowy and fluid. And if you hit him, I would imagine your punches will just like get absorbed. You hit him and it'd be like kind of. Be like, "Wah."
Yeah, Godzilla had trouble beating him because the toxic chemicals in his body did a lot of significant damage to his skin. Oh, poor Godzilla! Little Nivea lotion, body lotion
Exactly.
that fixed it right up.
Thank you, Screen Rant.
Um, oh,
The next one, though, I am a big fan of, and this is Gigan. Now, I remember watching this, and this might be one of the first times I saw like a good amount of blood in a movie as a child.
whoa!
This Gigan is, if I had to explain it to the listeners who are just listening, he's like a gigantic blue rooster with a cyclops red eye, two big hook scyther hands or arms, and a nice big chainsaw in the middle of his belly. Now, what Gigan can do with this is he will grab you with the hooks, pull you in, and chainsaw you, or he'll shoot you with a laser beam. Yeah.
Out of his Cyclops eye?
Yeah. He's messed up, dude. And apparently...
Oh, hold on. The chest chainsaw thing, you mean those spikes I see
up,
actually
dude.
like...
It's like a chainsaw.
Is he a
it's like
robot
a
or a monster?
He's a monster, I believe, from space.
Has to be.
Yeah. I love this guy. I think he's super cool. And in the article here, it even talks about that this was maybe one of like the biggest beatings Godzilla ever took. And I remember seeing this as a kid, and Godzilla does bleed quite a bit on this one. As you'd imagine, he's fighting a guy who's got like a chainsaw in his chest and big hook hands. And I just remember thinking this guy was so cool. Like, he's really neat. I don't know. What do you think?
I want to know how the chainsaw works.
Yeah.
Anywho.
What do you think of the design, though, of him, besides if it is practical or not?
I mean, I think, besides if the... well, I mean, would a 2-stroke, 4-stroke? What's power in this sucker? I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I think in today's film, the way they're doing, the new Godzilla movies, I think injecting him into that, I think you could do something really cool. I like the whole breath ideas with some of the monsters they've been doing, with like the chemical energy type stuff out of the mouth. I'm fine with all that.
Yeah.
I get a little wonky with like eye lasers, kind of. Sure. Ultimately, though, I think they could do something really creative with a monster like Gigan in today's modern films. I mean, and make him seem organic and really cool. And I think he'd be very, base foundation Godzilla, but then you kind of smooth him out and dress him up with some more spiky uniform spikes, the hook hands, all that sort of stuff. He's got more of a sail back kind of a thing, most likely for cooling. Thin
temperature regulation.
Cooling, like African elephants in their ears, a lot of blood vessels in those fins there.
Spinosaurus.
Spinosaurus, the whole thing. Anywho, I think he lends himself well to being something cool in today's modern films. It's just the chainsaw thing would be tough to do.
I was wondering,
the laser eye thing I'm not a big fan of.
Sure.
I mean, I get in this time it was the thing, right? It's okay. But do something. And people would be furious if you did it the way I would want it, but change it up a little bit so it makes a little more sense for an actual creature.
Yeah, well, and the trick with him, I guess, and this is going to be the question, if they do actually end up doing eventually like a mecha King Ghidorah, is if they start doing cyborg monsters like Gigan here, which is, I guess, cyborgian in nature. So I'm guessing that it's kind of.
Oh, is he?
He's got the chainsaw and the laser eye, I'm sure, were added, but I'm guessing the hook hands and the sail were there. The weird thing about this one is that it's got the beak, it's got the mandibles, and it's got a horn on the top, it's got the hook hands, it's got the sail, it's got the chainsaw. You would think that all those design elements would clutter the monster, but I don't think it does. For some odd reason, like that, like the golden scales, the blue, like it all plays really well together. Oddly, I think.
He looks tough. Sounds like he's a cheap SOB.
Yeah.
He's always an ally of another monster. Like, I'm not going to go after Godzilla alone. I need a distraction.
Well, the thing is, like, with some of these movies, they have him, team up like that, but that doesn't mean that he wouldn't be decent one-on-one. Sometimes I think their movies, they're like, we can't do just one monster to fight Godzilla. We got to throw in two, and then Godzilla gets a buddy that helps him out, oftentimes. So, yeah, if you've never seen...
scroll down the next monster. It's freaking Gigan teaming up with like two other guys.
Well,
it's freaking cheap.
We'll get to it. But yeah, so if you haven't seen Godzilla vs. Gigan, I just recommend maybe don't watch the whole movie. Just jump to the fights. That's what I did as a kid. Go watch that. It's kind of bloody. It's not like pouring blood all over the streets. Because like nowadays, if we did that and Godzilla bled, it would be like covering city blocks and people be drowning in Godzilla's blood, right? Like it'd be it's realistic. What happens if Godzilla were bleeding? But yeah, to bring up the next point, that's Joe's talking about. This is Megalon. Megalon's actually a character I like a lot because there was a game back on Game Boy DS, and you could play as a bunch of the monsters, and Megalon was on there, and basically he's a big beetle with these drill arms that he can spin, which allow him to dig super fast underground and kind of attack you from, obviously without you knowing it necessarily, and he's pretty cool. And as Joe pointed out, he's teamed up with Gigan, but don't worry, Joe, that guy in the back is not helping them out. That's Jet Jaguar. He's teamed up with Godzilla, so they do a lot of, it's like wrestling. There's like 2-on-2 matches. There's a lot of like 2-on-2 matches, so don't you worry about that.
Okay, so this anti-looking one is Megalon, and then the robot-y guy in the back is a Jet Jaguar, robot guy.
Correct. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he's helping Godzilla. Thank God, because this would be so unfair.
Yeah, Godzilla gets some buddies, and there's some guys who switch teams a lot. I could get one guy who's like a villain for a bit, but then he becomes a good guy. You know how it goes. But I like Megalon. What do you think of him, Joe? Our aesthetic department.
What's with the hands?
The drill arms.
He can drill arms?
Them. Yeah, he's a driller. He's a big cockroachy / kind of beetle looking bug man. Insect.
I'll admit I can do without him.
You can do without the drill arms?
No, just him in general.
Oh.
You know why? Because you know who I think, like, if you want to do, so here's something that's cool. People think, because the first Godzilla, they had the, what were those guys called?
The Muto.
The Muto, yeah. I thought those were actually cool, fairly practical. And those are basically, to me, like, that's what I picture as a big cockroach.
Yeah, they lack a killer app.
Like, have you ever seen like a wood roach?
Yeah, they lack the killer app. They've got the EMP, but they don't have drill arms. You need the. Sure. I think.
Okay, I guess what I'm getting at is for Megalon, I guess to bring that to like modern day film and make him integrate into the MonsterVerse with Godzilla. Give him some sort of aesthetic similar to the Muto from the first one. Oh. I'm not talking exact, but maybe something as far as the way he acts and maybe the way he, just more insectoid-like, right? Because God forbid, I don't want some cockroach-like creature standing up on two legs with two arms.
They might have something like that in King of the Monsters that you would like. The problem is, I don't know, like, I kind of like the bipedal nature, but obviously, like, all these are bipeds. For the most part, there's a few quadrupeds because it's like guys in suits. Like, that's just how they had to make them.
And I'm not saying that he has to walk around on 6 legs. I'm saying maybe he's got, like, the 6 legs, and then he kind of walks on those, but his body contorts up, kind of like a praying mantis, and then he's got the 2 drill arms as like mandible type things or something, but still keep the idea of cockroach looking. That's why I think of him. Anywho, just a big bug.
What do you think of Mothra in comparison?
I haven't seen the new movie, so I can't.
It's a giant moth, basically.
It's a giant moth.
No offense, Mothra. Mothra's great. I love Mothra, but
a slightly anticlimactic monster, but.
That's one of the few movies where
the gift of flight and everything is a trump card a little bit if played right.
Maybe, yeah. There's one where
And
Godzilla
Mothra's ability, what is Mothra's real ability there? It's like some sort of
shoots
dusty.
shoots webs, can have children, and shoots like a stun spore kind of thing.
Okay.
Or a healing wave. Yeah.
Interesting.
The next one I feel a little bit cheap because not technically an actual monster, but they put it on the list, and I want to talk about him anyway, and that is my boy, Mechagodzilla. I love Mechagodzilla because it was like Pacific Rim before Pacific Rim was Pacific Rim. It's like two people or one person is controlling this gigantic, like you're controlling Godzilla. Instead of the mouth, though, breath, you have lasers in your eyes. You have legitimate like finger missiles. That's a big thing he has too. He's got a ton of different weapons. He's really crazy. And I don't know. I like the idea of like humanity saying like, you know what, Godzilla, we're gonna make you and we're gonna like fight and take you down. And then like Godzilla's still winning. It's like we made this cool robot designed to destroy you and be just like you. And Godzilla's like, I'm still the best. Like, yeah, I don't know. I like Mechagodzilla. I know this is like an old design and he's got tons of bolts and stuff in him, but I still really like the look. I don't know, Joe, how you feel about him, like with this old school look at him.
So Mechagodzilla is his own thing. There's not a bunch of guys standing in the helmet controlling him or remote control.
I said that. There's a person in him.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's basically like Pacific Rim, only clunkier.
That's just what I said. Yeah. Joe's definitely paying attention. Hopefully everybody at home is paying more attention than Joe is.
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, with Godzilla, you start to lose me when they got the whole mechanical monsters.
Really? Not a huge fan, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fortunately not.
What do you think of the look, the design, at least?
I scroll down to the next one. I get like a full body look, although that seems a little different than the one above. Either way, I mean, in any rendition, I mean, it's Godzilla metal plated, which it's a lot of metal. But yeah, I mean, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Sure. Yeah. There's a chance we'll see him in the future. Another one I want to talk about, for some reason, I've missed this one as well. Titanosaurus, which I don't really know. Think he's on the left there. Can't say that I know him very well, or I don't remember him very well. Looks like another kind of Godzilla, kind of reddish. Got some sails on him. I don't know. Got mind controlled by aliens.
Cooling, likely.
For cooling, likely. Teamed up with Mechagodzilla. I don't remember this. Maybe I didn't see this one. Maybe this was a while ago, and I didn't.
Of course. Even Mechagodzilla's cheap. Gosh.
Yep. Well, that's good, man. Mechagodzilla's super cheap, man. That's the best thing about him. And again, maybe we'll get comments about this. I see that Mechagodzilla, he was made by aliens originally, but then humanity took him over. So anyway, but anyway, Titanosaurus. Am I saying that? I don't know if I'm saying that wrong or not, but it's fine. I don't know. Like, it wasn't. I guess he was just kind of a one-off. Just kind of showed up and took off after that. Was like, I don't want to fight anymore. You know?
Yeah, I don't think there's too much to say about him. Honorable mention.
Oh, that's Toho. Joe, they've sent the police to come get us. Did you hear that? They're coming to get us right now. They don't like what we're saying about their monster creations. Toho, I love you. If anybody at Toho's watching this, arigato gozaimasu. Arigato. This next one I do like, though. And I don't know if I'm probably going to say it wrong. Biollante or Biolant. This one I think is really weird and
cool.
It's crazy looking, right? Like, and I quote, "This is what the creation is. It's made out of. It's made from the DNA of a rose, a dead girl, and Godzilla." So that right there on paper makes me interested because I'm like, wait a sec, wait, what? And
apparently bigger than a mountain, or as big.
Apparently he's huge, like bigger than Godzilla. The thing about this monster, for people who can't see it right now, who aren't watching along, it's like this big kind of plant-like, like kind of almost sludge-looking thing that's got this long kind of snout, kind of crocodilian in nature. But then it also has these vines coming off of it, very kind of Little Shop of Horrors that each have like their own little like snapping jaws.
Venus flytrap mouths.
Yeah, this thing's crazy looking, man. And there's something sinister about the look of this one. I think it's one of the newer designs. Well, newer.
I like the glowing chest.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet, right? Like, it's pretty cool. Man, I don't know. This thing is it's freaky, and I also maybe like the dark lighting that comes with this picture that helps a lot. But what do you think, Joe? Like, look at this thing. This is a I wouldn't want to fight this. It's kind of like King Ghidorah, but amped up in a way with all the heads in a way.
Yeah, flat out. When I scrolled through it through the list initially, it was probably the one that stood out to me the most. I thought it was really cool. You described it quite well.
Thank
Kind
you.
of picture a mountain, but the base of it is more like tree roots, and there's a glowing heart in the center of that root
Yeah.
nest. And then up at the top of the mountain, you got like a crocodilian mouth slash head, very ominous looking with a lot of snaggly teeth coming out. And yeah, and then the roots at the base of the mountain seem to turn into their own little vines with little mouths. I mean, it's intense. It's cool. The size of it apparently even dwarfs Godzilla, which is impressive as well. Which means, I mean, must be quite the foe.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're right. Yeah, the kind of darkness of it, and it of all the monsters I see, this one kind of has like I would say like a creature from the Black Lagoon swamp thing vibe.
For sure.
So yeah, I kind of like it. I like the dark, ominous nature of it and the maybe more horror-esque appeal. So, and I like the originated from DNA of a rose and a dead girl.
Yeah, man.
And Godzilla. That's cool. That's pretty cool.
It's a vendetta. That's, man, if you ever watch the plots or look into the plots for these movies, they're all just nuts. It's a lot of aliens, a lot of like the aliens that were actually apes or aliens that are actually bugs, like came and did a thing, and you're like, yeah, that's a lot of that stuff. Moving on down the list though, might be one of my favorites. And I will never forget my mom tracing this one out for me when I was a kid, and I don't even remember watching this movie. But this is Space Godzilla, which I think on paper the name is kind of like, okay, like Space Godzilla. That's kind of weird. But like the design is like, it's Godzilla if he had two giant crystals grafted onto his shoulders, and his mouth was a little bit different, and he had like more of like a crystal on his head kind of thing. And I think he looks really cool, and he's super powerful. He's just like a big kind of energy plant. If Godzilla is like an energy plant, he's like that, but more. I don't know. I like him. Something about the jaw kind of having like it being more like spread open with like the extra tooth or like almost mandible, or I don't know what you call that, little horns on the side like thing. It just makes him kind of freaky looking. I love the coloration too. But what do you think of him?
I'd agree. And the coloration I think is what gets me immediately. Obviously, the giant crystals kind of fused into his shoulders are interesting, but the coloration I think is something that's striking to me.
Yeah.
Something mutated by the energy of a black hole.
Yeah, which is really weird. It's like Godzilla's DNA mutated by the energy of a black hole. I wouldn't be surprised to see this guy down the line because they've already done Ghidorah, and if they're doing aliens, why not do Space Godzilla?
Probably, it's probably like I would compare it to oh my gosh, it's escaping me. Doomsday from Superman and DC. Like he's Kryptonian mutated dealio, and he's like unstoppable. He's the only monster that Godzilla's ever needed help to defeat. That's saying something right there, isn't it?
Kind of, sort of, yeah. But yeah, any other thoughts on Space Godzilla? I just think he's super cool. He apparently kidnaps Godzilla's son.
Like ripped muscular flesh. I like that. That's neat. Kidnaps Godzilla's son, of course. I mean, that's first move for any villain, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand how, he's like, I've got your son now, Godzilla. He's like, meet me on this island or meet me in Japan and we'll settle this. It's like, if you showed up, if any monster shows up and calls out Godzilla, Godzilla's like, oh yeah, let's dance. Like, Godzilla's never like, no, I'd rather not. I'm gonna...
You know what they call me? They call me King of the Monsters. King I'm from space. I didn't say King of Earth.
Yeah, I said King of the Pacifists. No thanks, buddy.
See, we're writing this next movie already.
You're welcome. This next one's weird to me because I have seen this show, but I didn't remember it because it's only showed up once. This is Batra. Now, Batra, evil counterparts, kind of the yang to the yin or whatever, for Mothra. And this movie paints Godzilla kind of as the villain. Because it's Godzilla versus Mothra, and Mothra's kind of protecting humanity. So Godzilla fights Mothra's kids. I think kills one or two of them. They're like big kind of brown roaches. And then Batra ends up like realizing like that Mothra will have to team up together to fight Godzilla. And then Batra dies during this whole thing. And I was like, why do I not remember this thing? But it's kind of cool. Like, it's Mothra, and that's kind of what Mothra looks like, Joe, even though they call it Batra. Imagine the face of Mothra, but if it was black, if you're just watching, or if you're just listening to this. But for you, Joe, like, this is what Mothra looks like, just a different color variation a little bit. It's a little more friendly, and it looks, the face is more like a moth.
Friendly and
with
cute.
The blue eyes, you know, the big kind of buggy blue eyes. This one's a little more like, I got red eyes, I'm creepy. But another flying monster, you know, it's fine. It's okay. Like, I think it's cool. I think a modern day version of this, though, would be really sick. Like, if you lean a little more into the bat stuff, instead of just calling it, like, Batra, because it looks like it's got, like, the Mothra wings, give it kind of the bat wings. Like, you're getting close to Rodan territory there. But
well, hold on. Is this supposed to be a bat or a damn moth or butterfly?
It's supposed to be the counterpoint to Mothra, which I don't know if it's supposed to be. That's what the name throws you off, right? Because you're like, you think bat, it's like a bat.
Okay,
but then if it's like, but it looks like it's got insectoid wings. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of, I don't know. It's just something I thought was interesting. They could do it. And once you see King of the Monsters, they do justice to Mothra. I think they could, if they went, they've already done an evil flying monster, I guess, with Rodan, sort of. Evil / good. He's one of those that flips sides a bit. But yeah, maybe Batra wouldn't show up then because they've already kind of done this one. It wouldn't be as compelling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't think an honorable mention.
An honorable mention, yeah. But what do you think of it just from the look of it? From, again, somebody who's not really familiar with these.
I mean, insectoid, winged insects. I mean, yeah. I mean, I picture it as kind of, Mothra. I mean, I've seen clips of Mothra in the movie. I mean, I would expect it to be all of those things, just colored different and maybe a little more aggressive looking.
Yeah. This next one is really interesting to me because I like the idea that it was birthed from a previous battle for Godzilla. And that is Destroya. And yeah, fun name, right? So Destroya was born from the attack on Godzilla that was using the thing called the Oxygen Destroyer, which if people watch King of the Monsters, they will know that weapon. They use it kind of briefly in that movie. It's kind of a bigger deal than they make it out to be. But basically what this thing does is it destroys all the oxygen in an area, which causes like this massive explosion, apparently. And for Destroya, what happened was it came from the combination of the Oxygen Destroyer being used, some kind of, it was like what was it, sea life or something, and some of Godzilla's DNA being nearby, and eventually it came all together, or a group of crustaceans, it says here, and became Destroya. And that's a monster that Godzilla had a hard time dealing with. And if you can see it here, it's another one of those kind of space Godzilla types, Joe, where it's like the Godzilla base kind of look, but like the head is really different.
Space Godzilla design with predator mouth.
Predator mouth, yeah, exactly, yeah, for sure. And I think it also has like some crystally type things on it as well, sort of. But yeah, what do you think of this thing, man? I think it's kind of I love the face, honestly. Again, maybe it's just like Space Godzilla cranked up.
I do too. I mean, I like the head design of it. It's very intense and scary, very toothy. But looking at it, it reminded me more of like I totally expected it. Came from the depths of hell, close to the Earth's core.
Yeah, for sure, it has that
vibe. Rumored to have been created by the devil himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's more what it looks like. Like it's got the kind of horns. It's got a one unicorn. It's got like mandible teeth on the side and the normal jaws, but red eyes and a very furrowed brow. I mean,
dude, Journey to the Center of the Earth, man. That's what this is.
It basically. Like it reminds me of like if I think back to like Yu-Gi-Oh days with collecting the cards, I think of like a Red Skull.
Oh, Red Eyes Black Dragon, dude.
The Summon Skull.
Summon Skull.
And then maybe you combine him with the Red Eyes Black Dragon.
Yeah, that was a monster. It was Black Skull Dragon. It was OP.
Yeah. Kind of like that, only that maybe the mouth is a little different, but That's what I would picture it as.
Dude, yeah, for sure. That's a great plug.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you said Red Eyes Black Dragon, but yeah, Black Skull Dragon.
Yeah, and then they combine together to make that, which is so cool.
Which I mean, back in the day, that was probably like one of my favorites. Yeah,
I loved Red Eyes, man. I loved that every time it showed up, they had a guitar solo for it. It was like, I was like, oh, and then you like looked at its attack points. You're like, it's not stronger than Blue Eyes, but I'm glad it's here.
Yeah, exactly. I liked it more. I thought I actually thought Summon Skull was badass,
dude.
So when I got combined with that, I thought, yeah, that's dope.
Dude, thank you. I loved Summon Skull. I think I've talked about this. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but a few years ago, I made a deck. I don't know, because I knew some people who were making Yu-Gi-Oh decks. I made it like a Darkness and Fire Demon deck, and I wanted like more fiends and things like that. But Summon Skull I thought was always so underrated, because I was like, oh my gosh, Yugi, I know you've got your Dark Magician. And the best thing about Dark Magician was that you could use 1,000,000 specific spell cards for him. Summon Skull was like, you could kind of, in the show, you'd mix him with Black or Red Eyes Black Dragon to make that cool Black Skull Dragon or whatever. And it was like, oh, that thing's sick. You're like, oh, that thing was amazing. I was like, oh, that's just.
And at the end of the day, that thing was more powerful than the 3 Blue Eyes, right?
It was stronger than a regular Blue Eyes. I think it's 3,200 attack points. I might be wrong on that. 3,200, not 1,000. Yeah, you're talking about Ultimate Blue Eyes White Dragon, which was 4,500. Which the math doesn't really line up, because if you take 3,000 like power dragons and put them together, like that doesn't. But it's fine. That's not how the show worked. That's not how the show worked. And that was before the special abilities really started kicking in. We're going on a whole other tangent here. Do you guys want to hear a Yu-Gi-Oh episode? Because we will totally do it. We'll do a Yu-Gi-Oh episode.
Well, I'm kind of curious. Did Black Skull Dragon, didn't that win a battle against the one guy who had the blue eyes?
They teamed up to use Black Skull Dragon, because they love to do this on the show. Joey and Yugi teamed up against these two brothers who were in this maze, and they used that combo to destroy their Gate Guardian, even though neither of them ever had like that card. Because in that game, if like you had a card, Joe, and I had a card, and we dueled together, I could use a polymerization to bring two monsters together. And I'd be like, we don't own this card, but we just made it, and then like that's how it would work. So yeah.
But no, Joey battles the big guy, the bad guy, who has the blue eyes, and somebody brings Black Skull Dragon out, and isn't it like a big deal, like a big win or something?
I don't think
Come on, I need a history lesson. Somebody come up. All right, moving on.
If you guys want a Yu-Gi-Oh episode, tell us, and we will research this stuff more. So anyway, that's
Destroya. He was pretty dope, yeah.
Pretty great,
created
right?
by the devil himself.
I'm leaving this in. Okay, this next one, Joe, I've got a personal connection to. This is Orga. Now, Orga looks kind of xenomorphish in a sense. Yep. Big alien.
Drawn and created by H.R. Geiger.
Yep. This one's cool because this is Godzilla 2000. I remember seeing this in theaters with my dad. And weirdly enough, there was like no one else in the theater, but a few rows in front of me, my cousin showed up randomly, which is funny. But I remember being in this big theater, and it was all red seats way back in the day when they didn't have all the recliners and stuff. Just big red, just a ton of red seats, and no one was in this theater. I remember seeing this movie, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Orga is this alien that shows up with like a spaceship, and Godzilla fights and destroys the spaceship. And Orga's whole thing is like it can absorb and become like other creatures. That's kind of like its shtick. And this Godzilla 2000, which there is a difference between regular Godzilla, original recipe, and Godzilla 2000. Godzilla 2000 was a bit bigger. The spines were a bit crazier. The face got redone a little bit. And when it lit up, Joe, it wouldn't be blue, it'd be orange on its back. Like big red orange, like the plates, the Stegosaurus plates would glow that way. So at the end of the film, spoiler alert for this movie that came out 21 years ago now, Godzilla like puts its head or his head in Orga's mouth, because Orga can like open his mouth super wide, I believe. And it's like starting to slowly turn into Godzilla. And you're like, oh my gosh, this thing's going to kill Godzilla, because it kind of beat him up and it was going to like absorb him and become Godzilla and kill Godzilla. But then, Joe, what you see all the spikes start to glow orange, and Godzilla blasts it right through the back of like its throat and like rips it apart. And I was like, as a kid, as like a 10-year-old, I was like, yes! I was like, kill him! I was like, yes! It was so cool, because it was like this whole like, oh, he's gonna die. And it was like, Godzilla's got one move left, because like the atomic breath wasn't working on the exterior. So Godzilla's like, I'm gonna stick my head in its mouth and blow it up that way. Totally worked. Godzilla, you're great. I think it's an okay design. What do you think about it?
I mean, this one's second to the mountain crocodile,
Oh,
the Biolante, second to Biolante.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, just because I do like the xenomorphic design, the abilities that you describe, I think that's pretty cool. Absorbing and kind of cloning Godzilla, that's neat. More alien-esque. I think that's appealing. It's also, as you described it from that 2000 movie, it actually puts you on the edge of your seat, like Godzilla might lose.
Yeah.
Right? I like that. I like that a lot.
Especially as a 10-year-old. Like, I know Godzilla's probably not going to lose, but even then I was just like, oh, this is so cool. I also love Godzilla's redesign, and there was a game that came out on GameCube, and it was like, you could play as regular Godzilla or 2000 Godzilla or any of these monsters for the most part. But I remember my sister got it for me as a gift, and the little discs that came on the GameCube, Joe, I don't know if you remember them, they were like this big, they were really tiny. Yeah. She gave that to me before I got a GameCube, which I was pretty sure I was going to get for my birthday, which basically told me at the time, I was like, oh, so I'm probably getting a GameCube for my birthday. It's like, okay, they kind of worked together on this, but yeah, I like Godzilla 2000 for that reason. That kind of intro, or the ending, I should say, the intro to this guy who just gets annihilated. Orga, pretty cool though. The last one on this list is, I'm gonna probably butcher this, Megaguirus, not to be confused with Anguirus. This looks more like what I think Batra should have looked like. Do you know what I mean? You know, like he's like a creepy, bad, scary Mothra. Yeah. I don't know. Prehistoric dragonflies stole Godzilla's power, and they gave it to their queen. So that's what it says here in Screen Rants. So I don't know. It's fine. I like the look of it. It's kind of freaky. It reminds me, for people who like StarCraft, looks like one of the Zerg, like a Zergling, just like with wings. Which I think some Zerglings do have. What do you think, Joe? Kind of freaky looking. Maybe.
Crustacean meets bat meets the horned lizard from the desert.
Yeah, for sure. The horned lizard on the head. You're getting the crustacean from the pincers?
Yeah, and the legs.
Okay.
And just the arm replating.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, arthropodian in style. It's
arthropodian,
fine.
But then put a horned lizard in there and you're good to go.
Yeah, for sure. It's fine. Like I said, I think it's okay. Nothing. It's not bad. Not the greatest.
Yeah. I mean, overall, if you took that and you know, the size and everything, I think it would be more compelling than like a Mothra or a Batra.
Yeah. One that isn't on this list because he kind of switches from being a good guy to bad guy, or bad guy to a good guy, I should say. Rodan, who you will probably see in King of the Monsters, Joe, if you watch it, or people who have seen King of the Monsters. Large Pteranodon, not pterodactyl. I'm going to make a video about this soon, Joe. Pteranodon-like monster, known in the movie as the Fire Demon. I forget in the game if they gave him like acid or what they gave him, or like fireballs. I think he could shoot green fireballs back in the day. But nowadays, what he's kind of known for is he kind of has like cinders on his wings that kind of heat up. And that's kind of like where the fire comes from. He doesn't like breathe fire or anything in the modern movie that I noticed. But I've always been a huge fan of Rodan. He's one of those kind of classic Godzilla monsters that Godzilla would fight, and then they would be buddies, things like that. I've always really enjoyed him. I know you've seen him a little bit, Joe. You even recognized him before we even talked about these other ones today. Do you think that design is better than some of the other flying ones that you saw here today, or some of the other bipedal ones that you saw?
Yes.
And why? Yes, thank you. That's all I have time for today. I appreciate it.
Honestly, maybe I'm wrong. No, like this Megaguirus.
I feel like I'm
to me, that's more monster-esque, like what I would expect to crawl out of the depths of the Monster Island or something. You know, like the only problem I have with Rodan is it's basically, okay, let's take a dinosaur and make it a lot bigger and put him on fire a little bit.
Sure.
Unfortunately, and I'm sure he's cool in the movie and everything, and I think I'm going to go watch that here soon. But I think I think there's something just feels a little cheap about him. Like,
Sure.
kind of like when Monster Hunter World reskins another monster sometimes. Sometimes it's just like, yeah, okay.
Well,
But I still appreciate it nonetheless.
okay. Well, I'm gonna fight you on that one because Godzilla is basically a T-Rex and a Stegosaurus they put together and gave him a flame breath. No, I'm just kidding. He's fine. No, I'm just kidding. I love Godzilla.
See, a little more creative. That's a melting pot.
There's more melted. That's true. If you just gotta see his fireballs that he doesn't shoot in the movie. They tried to make him more naturalistic in the movie because I think he actually comes from Earth as opposed to Ghidorah, which doesn't. Maybe you'll like it more. Once you watch the movie, he gets some of the best moments in the movie. Personally, for me, Rodan inadvertently hands it up a bunch. He gets there's some great stuff in there. You're like, I really like Rodan. And for some other reason, I picture him and Godzilla together. They seem more natural to me than some of these other crazy ones. But then again, I love Gigan as well, which is so very foreign. So, yeah. But that's kind of I don't know, like we're not really ranking these things, but Joe, do you have like a favorite one of these Godzilla like enemies that you really like or you think would look really good in an upcoming Godzilla movie?
If they're going to do some space stuff, for some reason, I feel like Orga would be really cool. Obviously, they did that 20 years ago, but and that's even after the Zilla one with Matthew Broderick, isn't it?
Yeah, that was like 3 years after because this is Toho versus like the Godzilla that was made here was more of like its own thing, had nothing to do with anything else, kind of.
Yeah.
I think after,
but that would be cool. But then, I think it would be hard to do, and it's maybe slightly too large scale, and it's just like Godzilla climbs around on it and shoots breath into it. I don't know, but Biolante, I think would be really cool. And if somehow they could tell me that a dead girl and a rose and Godzilla made it, hats off to them.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but the aesthetic of it and this dated design is cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
I still posit that after you watch King of the Monsters, and I really think Mecha King Ghidorah is in the works, especially if the rumors are to be true about this next movie. But I do think also because they use the oxygen destroyer and I maybe said this name wrong the first time, but is it Destoroyah? Not Destroya, but maybe however you want to say it. There's a chance that thing could show up because they've used this device and they could tease it. And you'd have to be like a pretty well-versed fan in Godzilla lore to like see that at the end of another movie and be like, there's something in the water. And they're like, that's where we detonated the oxygen destroyer. What's that? And that would be like the tease to this thing. Because it'd be cool.
Bunch of crabs got together and formed a gang.
Exactly.
They're going to come.
It's like the reverse version of Calypso from Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. Instead of breaking up into a bunch of crabs come together and make this thing. You're like, oh my gosh. It's like
we gotta get revenge, boys, for Frank and his boys.
Exactly. It's like Dracula, but instead of bats, we got crabs. Which I'd watch that for sure. But I still want to see Gigan. Please give me Gigan. Gigan, however you want to say it. I just want to see my big blue rooster with chainsaw belly. I don't know how they do it, but I don't care. Like if you're gonna go mecha, if you're gonna do some of these mecha creatures, bring Gigan in, give him the laser beam. Let's go crazy. Ugh. Be so good, Joe. I love Godzilla so much. I wonder if I put the roar in. Maybe I did at the beginning of this. Who knows? Maybe I did.
Good roar. I'll tell you, when we went saw it in the IMAX, and they'd only like the movie hasn't even started yet, but they kick things off with the roar in an IMAX. That sound is just like it's goosebump.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets the goosebumps going immediately. You can't not get goosebumps with that.
Worth the price of admission alone right there. No,
it kind of was.
If you look up the Godzilla roars from that movie, there are a bunch of different ones that they recorded. Like there's a bunch of ones they probably didn't even use because I was trying to find ones. Some of them are like super long, like way long. And it's like, whoa. But as people have said, and I think one of our Legionnaires tweeted out a while ago, I think this is Zora. Zora, if you're listening, hi, buddy. He talked about I just like Godzilla roaring with every fiber of his being. Because Godzilla does not do a half-hearted roar. There's not like a grr. It's always just he's like, I'll kill everybody. Like my big chunky boy. I love him so much. Come here, buddy. He used to make noises, Joe, but he doesn't anymore. He used to make noises. This is like original recipe. Oh God, well, almost original recipe. He's Dusty. I love you. OG. He's so great. And I just adore him. And again, it's so cool, or I shouldn't say cool, but it's interesting to know the origins of the character being that of fear of, the nuclear device. Or I should maybe said atomic age earlier, nuclear devices and things like that. And he was just like the manifestation of that fear in a creative form. But yeah, I love the character, and I can't wait to see more stuff. And it's cool. Like, I get a little bit teary eyed sometimes when I watch these new movies, because it's like, as a kid, I never thought I'd see the guys in costume movies like this be taken to this level where they're like, all right, what if Godzilla were real and he's a big CGI monster, and like if people are running away from him and it kind of looks realistic? Like, I watch these fights and I'm like, oh my God, they're doing it. I'm like,
That's cool. That's admirable that you actually started with the original Godzillas, like the guys in suits.
Yeah.
That's something.
Thank you.
That's something.
Thank my parents.
Cool.
Apparently, they were okay with that sort of violence. I don't know if they ever saw me watch the Godzilla versus Gigan stuff. They would be like, "There's a lot of blood here. Like, Godzilla's bleeding. Like, you feel bad for him." And like, as a kid, I was probably like, "Oh no!" Like, Godzilla, no.
No monster can possibly lose that much blood.
Exactly. I'm like, oh my gosh, Godzilla. Because you like start to feel for him. Because some movies he's the villain, but most often he's the hero. So you're like, no, don't die. So. Yeah, if you ever want a trip, go back and watch those. And I think what I'm going to try to do, I'm not sure if I have access to it, but I want to go back and watch the original Godzilla vs. King Kong that came out back in like the 60s. And maybe before that movie comes out, Joe, what we'll do is, if I have access to it, maybe I'll watch it and we'll talk about it. But maybe we could talk about ways that fight could go down. Again, I haven't seen the trailers. I think it'd be kind of like a fun kind of prediction special. But also, this fight has been done in the past. And that one actually had a bunch of American, there's a lot of like American actors in it, which was really weird for me because I was used to a lot of the English dub of like just Japanese actors. So it was really strange because they would have like news reporters who were American talking about this fight that was going to go down. And they would describe the differences in brain power from Godzilla to King Kong. Like, people were kind of saying like, oh, Godzilla will obviously win, or King Kong will obviously win for these reasons. So it's a really weird movie, but I remember enjoying that a lot as a kid. I was always like, King Kong compared to these other monsters is just a giant ape. You know what I mean? Like, these other things are like crazy, like just insanity. Yeah. It's like, for some odd reason, him fighting King Kong, it's always been a big deal. Like, it's always a big deal. Like, it's just like, maybe it's because it's like, if we humans were ever a monster, the closest thing we'd be is like King Kong, you know? It's like, what if we fought Godzilla? You know what? Maybe that's
true.
Primal connection.
Yeah, I don't know. Primal connection. I have a tough time grasping King Kong as big as Godzilla. It's hard to believe Godzilla in his own right, but now because gorillas are real, right? And I picture that size. I'm like, I can't. No, I can't do it.
I can. All
I can say, King Kong wins tenfold. The second King Kong gets a hand on the jaws, split them wide open.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll have to tune back in for my rebuttal. No, just bring out like this huge like thesis. It's like 200 pages, and I'll be like, Godzilla versus King Kong, an in-depth analysis of why Godzilla would win every time.
If you take the strength, agility,
sure,
and everything that a gorilla currently is, and you multiply it times a cajillion or however big they freaking are, that's gonna rip things to shreds, including the world.
Okay, sure. Like the bite strength of a crocodile, yeah, or maybe like a T-Rex, or
multiply that times a cajillion, and things are just.
And it has a laser beam. Okay, it's an atomic breath, but I mean, like, no. I'm talking about Godzilla. I was saying the other end of it. He's
all right.
Like a cajillion, whatever. Anyway, maybe we'll talk about this because that'd be fun. Because apparently this is not as one-sided as I thought it was going to be. This will be great, and then we can have our dogs are in the fight. Well, I shouldn't say dogs because I hate dog fighting. Anybody who does dog fighting should just get wrecked. We've got our boxers in the fight, but I really, I have a feeling.
Again, dogs.
No, not dogs. No dogs. It's gonna be like Batman versus Superman though, where it's obviously gonna be like they fight a bit and third party. I think there'll be a third party. There's always a third party in these versus movies. They can't commit to it. Unlike, Civil War does have a third party, Captain America Civil War, but they do a good job of committing to the fight. And you know what? I respect it. Anyway, so yes, we would each have our ponies in the race. There we go. I thought of a better analogy. I did it.
I hate horse racing.
I hate it. I hate when they're running in circles. We'll all have our cars in the NASCAR race.
All right.
In circles. You know what I mean?
Our cars in a demo derby.
They're just burning gasoline. They're ruining the environment for no real reason except for my entertainment. I hope they explode, but no one gets hurt. Anyway, so that maybe will come up if people want it. So it's either we could do that in the future, guys, or a Yu-Gi-Oh show, or both. Maybe not one and the same. That would be really fun to go back to. Anyway, let's just get to the next segment of the show. Joe, did you hear that? Joe.
What is it, Jimmy?
Joe, it's 3 doors. 3 doors just appeared right here once again. And guess what? They've come back for you.
No.
That's right, Joe. It's time for Mystery Villain Date. Woo! I won't be using Spanish Flea this time because we got a copyright claim last time, so we're going to use some different music. I hope you don't notice the difference, but I brought it to your attention. So, here we go. Joe, are you ready to guess who your mystery dates are, and now complete with their own specialized dates for the one you pick?
Indubitably, good sir.
All right, this is good. I've been stuck inside for a long time. All right, here we go. That's just a little something for me there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to play along at home, you're more than welcome to, because Joe will probably get these pretty quick. He's a smart guy. But Joe, there are three celebrity villains behind the doors that you can't see behind me here. I have a little description.
Female or male?
You'll find out. And
could be either. Could be either. That was a clarification.
I try to go for fairness here. We try to mix them up a little bit. Anyway,
okay.
I'll be describing them briefly, giving you a quote of from one of them, from kind of something they're famous for, and then you have to guess who they are, because if you don't guess, they will kill us, and the show will be over forever. You have no lifelines, you have no help, except for me maybe quietly whispering into the microphone in a terrified manner. Anyway, are you ready to play?
I am ready, my friend. I'm ready.
He's a ruthless businessman and the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. While he does have a penchant for malevolence, he oftentimes thinks he is best suited to rule over humanity. His genius-level IQ has led him to create various devices and armors to combat any heroes, super or otherwise, from interfering with his plans. Here's the quote Here is the quote he offered us up today. If you go too fast, they will kill us. Some people can read War and Peace and come away thinking it's a simple adventure story. Others can read the ingredients on a chewing gum wrapper and unlock the secrets of the universe. Who is your mystery villain date?
Lex Luthor.
That's correct, Joe. You'll have to save your answers for the end. The viewers want to play too, Joe. You can't take it away from them. And
my bad.
If you choose Lex as your mystery villain date, then he promises a lovely tour of his business's HQ. That sounds pretty fun, doesn't it?
Is there Canada Dry there?
There is so much Canada Dry there. Canada, was it Dr. Pepper? Dr. Pepper is not affiliated with LexCorp. Just have to throw that on there quick, because they probably don't want to be our new sponsors eventually. Our eventual sponsors, I should say, do not want to be tied to an evil fictional organization. But by the way, wouldn't that be some great product placement in a movie? You're like, we're gonna be the bad guys vending machines. It's just all Canada Dry and LexCorp. They're just like, why is there so much ginger ale around this place? So, I'm
telling you, man, these companies need to start thinking this way.
This would be great.
Yeah.
All right, that was door number 1. Joe, here's your next mystery villain. She's the long hidden away daughter of a powerful Norse god who just wants to rule all. Her beauty is only matched by her abilities in combat. Capable of bringing down an entire army single-handedly, our mystery lady is never opposed to a fight. She also has a passion for harboring knowledge of past misdeeds and information on ancient gods. Here's a brief quote she offered up. Asgard is dead, and it will be reborn in my image. Who is your mystery villain?
Hela.
That's correct! Thank goodness. Oh gosh. Out of anybody we've had so far, I wouldn't want to fight her. She promises a lovely tour of Asgard after she rules it. So if you want to tour Asgard, that sounds pretty good.
I mean, I saw Thor Ragnarok, probably the only good thing in it. I would continue on.
That's
sorry.
Right. We love you, Kate. I mean, Hela. It's not Kate. Anyway. Here we go. The last individual on this list is quite the powerhouse. A demon from another realm, our mystery guy is all about conquering everything. Utilizing the connection he established with a human a while back, he now seeks out his daughter to act as a portal, allowing him to invade our world. Taller than most skyscrapers and rocking 4 glowing eyes, he's the ideal date if you ever worry about getting separated in a crowd. This is the quote he provided us today. "You may have retained some trace of my power, but you are still no threat to me, little girl. I am your creator." Who is your mystery villain?
Oh, Jimmy, this is bad, bro. I know we were.
No! Please. Joe, look at. Come on, I'm gonna give you a little hint.
Trigon. There we go.
Oh! That's correct! Okay.
Yeah.
Oh god, he says if you choose him...
Oh, I only know from Titans.
He promises to give you a date anywhere over the realms that he's conquered, so... Joe, it's now up to you to choose between Lex Luthor, Hela, or Trigon as your mystery date.
Now, it's not because the other two are men. But honestly, I mean, who wouldn't pick Hela? I mean, she's like death, basically. I mean, yeah, I'm all about it.
An excellent choice.
I mean, I'd be her, palm fanner at her throne or grape feeder. I don't care. I'll go to Asgard.
Well, it's okay. It's more of a date. You're kind of on equal footing here. For some odd reason, she's agreed to this, so it's all good.
All right. I will take full advantage. Let's go.
You know what? And sometimes these can be bro dates if you want. Like if you just want to hang out with Lex in Lex Tower, sometime in the future if you find a villain it doesn't matter. And at home, if you're playing along, did you get them all right? Who are you picking a date with? I mean, all these ones are pretty good. I feel like Trigon would be kind of weird, especially if he was skyscraper tall or whatever. You're like,
that'd be a little weird. Yeah. Can you hear me up there? Asgard for sure. I want to go to Asgard.
Yeah, Asgard would be cool. Like pre-destruction.
When it existed.
Yeah, this show supersedes all time and space. So, thank you, Joe, for playing Mystery Villain Date. Ooh, buddy, I hope people like this segment.
I do, yeah. It's actually fun. I like that, yeah.
Ah, yes, I finally did something unique. It only took me like 250 episodes, and I did it. It's just working up to it. Anyway, it's time to move on to that segment of the show. I like to call, Joe likes to call, we all do like to call. Time Killers. Do you hear that, everyone? Because it's the bell and it tolls for you and your free time. In Time Killers, we talk about all the things we kill time with as far as fun stuff goes, usually. Joe, what have you been slaying Kronos with, my friend? Is that a thing you can say? I'm saying it now. It sounds like a God of War thing. No, that's fine.
Lately, what have I been killing time with? To be honest, Jimmy, not a whole heck of a lot. Nothing I haven't already covered in previous episodes. Maybe I'm struggling right now for something fresh.
That's okay. There's nothing new? No new movies, no new TV shows?
Oh, TV. Oh, I was catching up on new episodes of Last Man Standing.
Oh, and
right with Tim Allen.
Yeah, that's the one. Did you see him?
Show?
Yeah.
I just enjoyed it. I liked. It was it was him from Tool Time.
I was gonna say it was a Tim the Toolman Taylor. Yeah,
Tim the Toolman Taylor. It was him, and
which is weird.
We look a lot alike, except for my hair isn't as gray. Yeah, well, the hair dye does wonders. It was good. It wasn't as great as it could have been, but it was it was him playing himself and all. It was still something. It was like, wow, it was a cool little nostalgic injection, and it was great. Nice. I liked it. I just like that show. There's something nice about it. The only thing that does get annoying, and I get it happens, is the change out of the characters.
Do they? Oh, because some of the actors leave?
Yeah, one of the daughters changed in the past season.
That always hurts.
The next season, yeah. And she was good. I liked that daughter, or that actress who played her, did a good job. And it just, there's something slightly jarring about how this girl plays the character versus how that girl played the character. So, and then one girl who played a daughter off at college or pursuing other opportunities, and that one you can't complain about as much because they, kind of write it off a little bit, But nonetheless, I think that show's good vibes. I kind of enjoy it. I've always liked Tim Allen, and that show, I didn't realize how many seasons there were of that show. And I actually went back, and when I was sick with COVID back in July, I just watched front to back, and I loved it. Got me through my toughest times during the COVID days.
It got you through. It helped you survive.
That it did, Daddy.
That's beautiful.
So anywho, that's really only been my time killer. I've been rewatching Archer like I talked about last week, and playing some Monster Hunter with you, my guy. And then barely any Modern Warfare, just a little bit now and again, Warzone. But that's it for me.
Nice.
Really not much else new. So
yeah.
How about yourself, pal?
I don't have much new besides that. Kind of the same stuff. I've been going through all like the DC animated films that are on HBO Max. There's some that I've seen, some that I don't remember seeing all the way through. They're fine. There's some pretty cool animation in some of them. I did finally watch, and I finally finished up all of Batman Beyond, which includes the Return of the Joker movie. And then also there was this thing called Epilogue that was like the third season finale of Justice League Unlimited. So basically what happened is Batman Beyond had 3 seasons, and then a lot of their stuff got kind of folded into Justice League, like a lot of their animators, because that was a much more popular show. And then to kind of give that show finality to it, they made one last episode that you can see in Justice League. So if you want to see kind of the end of, more or less, of Terry McGinnis as Batman, or where that kind of ended up, they do a really nice job kind of, tying a little bow on it, and I love it. But the Return of the Joker movie is super good because they find a way to bring Mark Hamill's Joker, forward 50 years into the future after he's presumably dead. And the kind of the mystery behind it's pretty interesting. But the thing I want to talk about specifically, the hand-drawn style looks so good, and the explosions in this movie, I don't know how they do it. Not only do they sound good, but they look incredible. There's a lot of like explosions that go into other explosions. And I don't know if that's just like early 2000s, just like everything needs to blow up. But man, it's great. And if you ever watch this thing, you hopefully will like it too. Because sometimes you're like, oh, that was a pretty good one. And then it's just like, boom, boom, boom. And you're like, whoa. And this is like hand-drawn animated stuff. And for some odd reason, it resonates with me. Plus, I just love Will Friedle's performance as Terry McGinnis, who you guys would know him most prominently probably from his other voice acting works as Ron from Kim Possible, or live action as Eric, Corey's older brother in Boy Meets World, where he plays a pretty wacky guy. But in Batman Beyond, he plays it very straight, and he does a great job. So, yes, go check out all the Batman Beyond related stuff you possibly can. You won't regret it. At least I don't. I've been trying to watch the animated series, like the original Batman stuff. It's a little slow. But hopefully it'll pick up. I just love Batman Beyond, man. It's just like all action. The 20-minute episodes go by so fast. Anyway, that's pretty much everything for the most part. And I've been playing Shadow of War. I have to look up because this one's Shadow of Mordor. Playing the sequel, Shadow of War, still good. And we beat Dark Souls with the group, with the Legionnaires. They helped me beat Dark Souls. Thank you, team. If you're listening to this, team, thank you so much. And then we're on to Dark Souls 2. It was a gift, and I appreciate that so much. So we're streaming some of that. And just a bunch of stuff. So, finally, Joe, let's just move into that last segment that I love to call community feedback
and questions.
That's right, my personal favorite segment. Joe, we got some questions here. I know I sent them to you, so I don't know if you've had time to percolate on them, but I I will read them off here. These came in from our Discord. Thank you so much. And again, you guys can send these to us anytime if you like have an idea, even after this show. Just tweet it at us, and we'll probably come back and find it. Which I love so much. But again, Mecha Rekka and Zora Cavi are coming in hot. Joe, do you have them up in front of you, or do you want me to read them?
Read them.
Okay.
I've got them.
Okay, he's got them. All right, this is from Mecha Rekka. He's got 2 right here. What makes a good side quest in your opinion, and what side quest tropes should disappear from games altogether in the future? Joe, I want to take point on this, because I know I'll probably have a little more to say. First off, I want to answer your second question first. What side quest tropes should disappear from games altogether in the future? Really stupid, pointless fetch quests, where it's like, hi, my name's Bob, and I know you're the hero, and I was wondering if you could go over to that thing over there and grab me that thing and bring it over here. It's like, why doesn't Bob do it? Yeah. Like, there's so many of those types of quests.
There was a little bit of that in recently Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, there was?
A little bit.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, there was a little bit of go get me that and bring it back.
Yeah.
And I'll give you money or whatever. I mean, it was a little lame. But...
It's like a classic storytelling kind of thing, or like old-fashioned medieval fantasy thing would be like, they can't, like, it makes more sense if it's like a really old person or someone who just physically can't get to a thing. But when it's such a stupid thing where it's like, oh, there's a flower in this forest and I need it, but it's guarded by monsters, and I like that helps it a little. But I just think fetch quests in general are stupid or can be kind of boring. And then what makes a good side quest? I think anyone that actually like plays back into like your character. And one I really want to talk about, and I've talked about it a little bit in the past, but I'll just briefly summarize. Ghost of Tsushima, my favorite game of the year. One of the reasons why from 2020 is that the side quests were with individuals that continued throughout the story. And they would fight alongside you, which was like going to happen one way or another in some of the battles. But it made me feel more connected to them because I did the side quests with them and learned more about them. And that's what I like, is when side quests have story and meaningful progression, not only maybe to your character, but to the lore of the world. Like that kind of stuff. That makes me want to do side quests where I'm like, oh, I care more about this person because I helped them and now they're helping me, and you know, we do stuff together and that kind of stuff. That's great. So more of that, please. I like it. Joe, do you have anything to add? I know you're not so much into RPGs as much, but
yeah, I mean, my only real experiences with it were like recently with Cyberpunk. I mean, side quests I think I do enjoy, and sometimes, like you say, if you have multiple side quests with like the same character, going back to help them with different tasks, I enjoy that. I like that. I think it's development beyond the main core story or the main path. I enjoy that, and it just feels like bonus content to me.
Sure.
As long as it has some sort of substance. I think you hit the nail on the head where I just don't want it to be go get me this and bring it back. If I'm going to get you something, it better be like a trying test of like, you know, fun action where it actually feels like it was worth my time. I don't want it to be I'm just driving or I'm riding or walking.
Yeah.
To that point, I got to kill one thing quick and then I grab it and come back or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I just think they need to have some substance to them and maybe a little bit of meaning. And I think when you reconnect with a character on a side quest, like, you know, this person needs this, and it's Mary from, you know, two side quests ago. It's like, oh, yeah, Mary, I'll help you out. I like that. You know, I think it's good development for, you know, not only your own character who you're playing as, but the characters that you come into contact with. I think that's nice.
Yeah,
but,
totally. This isn't necessarily side quest stuff, but I could just hear people yelling at me to talk about this just briefly. If we could do away with escort missions and or tailing missions, in most games they don't really do them well enough, and a lot of people get frustrated, like Assassin's Creed, where it's like you have to be in the right radius to hear these people, or they're out of sight and you have to follow them around for a while, or an escort mission where you have to like bring a person through a place and they can't protect themselves and you have to protect them from everything else, and they've got like a health bar that keeps going down as they get, you know, taking hits and stuff. And it's like, so side quests don't have that. Also, side quests I think should always be optional. If the game forces you to do a side quest, I feel like there's a problem with the core game or story or campaign. I hate when it's like, well, you got to do side quests to level up. Like, that should be an optional choice for you. as opposed to being like, well, you have to do it. And it's like complete 3 side quests before you move on to the next portion. It's like, what? Like, okay. Yeah. So great question, Mecha Rekka. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. I feel like we could do a whole show on that. So please send in more, man. You've got great questions. So good. This next one comes in from, like we were saying before, Zora Caviar. He says, feel like weighing in on the Godzilla versus Kong discussion? Oh, don't you worry about it, buddy. It sounds like we're doing a whole show on that, right, Joe?
Right.
he said sheepishly. Favorite Godzilla and or Kong movies that you've seen? Joe, have you seen any, like, did you watch Peter Jackson's King Kong? Did you watch that one?
I did, yeah, with Samuel Jackson.
No, that one's, that's Kong Skull Island.
Oh, yeah, Peter Jackson's where there's actually, like, T-Rex characters that have heads as big as their body.
Classic, like, old school King Kong. Well, it's, okay, you're embellishing. The T-Rex heads weren't as big as their bodies. They are large heads, I'll give you that much.
They were freaking big.
Yeah, they're big. But do any of those jump out at you? You said Godzilla 1998 or 7 was maybe your favorite?
Yeah, I liked the Zilla one with Matthew Broderick. I liked the hole within, like Madison Square Garden was like hollowed out underneath, and a nest or whatever. I mean,
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it was very Jurassic Park-esque, and there was something to it. And not to mention, it resonated with me because as a kid, I liked the cartoon, Godzilla, and that was the one that they had, the one with like the
Zilla
boat hull face.
I've got a
stuff,
DVD of that, man, in my other room.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah, and he's a lot smaller than our modern day film Godzilla, or the one that they try to portray in the older films. So it's a different vibe, but I liked it. I thought it was fine. And then the eggs hatch, and then they're being chased around throughout Madison Square Garden. I mean, it was intense. It was very Jurassic Park-esque, like you say. So easily got me.
I have to go back. I might want to go see that old King Kong movie. The only problem I have with the Peter Jackson King Kong is I know how it goes down, like most King Kong movies, and it's just kind of sad. But that movie is like, it's like the movie he got into movie making for, because that old King Kong, and he like wanted to do King Kong, and it's got a crazy cast, like Adrian Brody, Jack Black. Like it's weird.
Yeah.
But it's cool. And it's also, if you have arachnophobia or a fear of darkness or a fear of bugs in dark, do not watch this movie. It is like his horror roots are like springing forth. Like it is a ton of creepy crawly stuff in that movie. So beware.
Hello.
How likely is a Monster Hunter Rise Godzilla vs. Kong crossover on a scale from 1 to 10? How cool would it be to silk bind Pilot Kong and knock the shoot out of Godzilla? It'd be pretty cool. What do you think?
2.
Yeah, I think because it's the Nintendo one, it's smaller. Do you think Godzilla? I think if it was Monster Hunter World, there'd be a higher chance because they were teaming up with everybody. Like that
was cool. Like CD Projekt Red with the
Witcher stuff, which was nuts because that was years after. Like, oh my gosh, like the Leshen, they couldn't like. It's like they went into my brain and they're like, "Which monster would you like, Jimmy?" And it was like the Leshen. They're like, "Here it is," and I'm like, "Oh god, it's kind of tough." I don't know why they talk like that. That's inside my head. That would be cool. Yeah, I'm with you, Joe. It's probably like a 1 or a 2. I'm sorry. That would be cool crossover. And then he said, how soon before Capcom just makes a monster versus monster fighting game, which Mecha Rekka kind of posted one of an old one. It's called Shadow Surg, which is just like monsters fighting monsters. I think it could be a possibility. I could see them doing as the next offshot. So they do Monster Hunter World 2, and then the next one isn't Rise, but it's like Monster Hunter Versus or Monster Hunter Fight Pit or something like that, where it's just like, you're like, all right, I level up my Rathian to fight like a basil goose, whatever, or basil juice. It's like slapping it and fighting it and stuff. Dude, that'd be so cool. Like, wouldn't it be sweet?
Beetlejuice?
Dude, what if you could play as Nergigante? And you're like, I'm leveling up my Nergigante. He's gonna be so dope. We can run raids together. You got your Rathalos. I got my Nergigante. Let's do
it. We've talked about the whole monster versus hunter thing, and you play as the monster. But yeah, there'd have to be a lot of rules to it. It's just maybe not as practical. But monster versus monster
could be cool. I pick Zora Magdaros. You're like, I can't. I'm a mountain. Like, just can't get off my back. I'm turning. Well, I'll get you.
Why can't I can't seem to hurt this mountain.
Yeah, exactly. But would you be into that? I think that'd be cool.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not like DC. Oh God, what's the game called? Come on, man.
I don't know.
The
DC
DC, Superman, Batman, all the guys fighting each other. It's Spring Break. Yeah, Injustice, Gods Among Us.
I'm sorry. I don't mean it to be like a side. It's not like it wouldn't be like that necessarily, but it could be. I'm thinking more of like a third person, like action
like Monster
game.
Hunter World, but it's two monsters.
I couldn't imagine. Well, I guess it would be easier in some ways to have it be like a 2D fighter. Just Nergigante. It's like, come on.
Let me at him.
Velkhana's just got the tail back over its head. It's like, I'm gonna stab you.
Little stabby stab.
Oh my gosh, dude! I just that would be so like you start off the game, be like, yeah, my great Jagras is pretty OP now. You're just coming out on the battlefield. It's like a big great Jagras. Oh, you've got like a cape and stuff. Would you allow like armor sets for the monsters? Could they have like capes and things or like bandanas, eye patches?
I think I'm gonna probably give this a hard pass.
Oh my god, dude! I want an eye patch on my Nergigante. He's like, I've seen things. And I lost because I've seen too much. I got Joe on that one. I got him. You guys can't see him, but he's choking on his Diet Canada Dry.
I've seen things, or did he see things?
Yeah, that's why he lost his eye.
Tell. It seemed close, but it might have been far. I don't know. My depth perception ain't what it used to be.
What if they all teamed up like that, and then you get like a Fatalis, and like in a cutscene, Nergigante with the eye patch backs up, and like, Nergigante, what's wrong? And he's like, that's the thing that took my eye. You're like, Nergigante, it's okay. And he's like, no, I gotta get out of here. Just flies away. Oh my gosh. I just love Nergigante. I think he's great. But yeah, I would love to see that game. I think it could happen, but it'll be a while. I think now that it's really popular here in the West, I think there's the potential for anything, honestly. Like,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, more Monster Hunter. Sure.
I love Monster Hunter.
More Monster Hunter. Just more of it. Just give me freaking all of it. I don't care. Whatever gimmick you got, let's try it out. Even though I probably still won't get Rise. But,
yeah, I wish I had it on PC. Like if I had like a gaming laptop, I could take it everywhere with me and have it on PC.
Yeah, man.
That'd be great.
The only problem with that game is that it is not a pick up and play. Like I'm sure Monster Hunter Rise helps it a little in that regard, but like those fights, it's not unless you have the equipment for it. Those fights are not just like 15 minutes and it's done. It's like it might turn into 45 minutes. You're like, we're chasing it. I gotta get back to work.
Yeah, no, there's a bit to those hunts. Like what was the one we did? Brachiodos?
Oh, Raging Brachiodos.
That was like 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes, something like that.
Oh, which, by the way, we didn't say this, Joe. We took out Furious Rajang. Not as bad as Raging Brachiodos or as cool, I don't think. He was fine.
Hell, I thought it might have been a little easier than normal Rajang.
Yeah, I think we were just...
I don't know why. I didn't think it was that bad.
We were all tuned up because of Raging Brachiodos. We were nervous about every hit. And that's why I think we were better against him. Because that fight, man, they overdid it and outdid themselves with the ending of that fight. It's like a whole thing with the Raging Brachiodos. Anything like Rajang is just kind of like, Furious Rajang, he's just kind of hanging out with Banbaro.
Yeah.
Hangs out,
That's true. I do love the environmental effect and the way the Raging Brachiodos one ends. It's interesting. It's well done.
Well done indeed. Well, guys, thank you so much for sending in your questions. Please feel free in the future to send in questions, topics, ideas like this. I love hearing from you guys, and we want to make a show that is for you. So all you have to do is you can just tweet at us. You can use the hashtag Critical Podcast if you want to, but you can tweet at the official account for Critical Reviews, which is at GoCritical. Or you can tweet at me personally. I'm at JimmyGood013 because 13 is my favorite number. And Twitter still won't give me Jimmy Good. So it's like, come on, Twitter. If you guys want to help me out, tweet at Twitter and tell them to give me just Jimmy Good. Not just Jimmy Good, just at Jimmy Good. Sorry, Joe. What's your Twitter account?
Mine is at JoeLever_627. Boom.
Excellent. Which is funny because on your Instagram, it's JLever627. I have to keep tagging you and keep looking it up. Mine's at Jimmy Ferrier Good, so it's like we don't have all these the same. Why would we?
I should make Twitter and Instagram the same. It'd be easier, but I'm not really often tagged in things except for your stuff. So
yeah, our stuff, baby. Likes me. That you just got to be on there a little. People love you, Joe. They love your thoughts. I saw that this month that there's an artist I'm following who is every day of the month he's doing a different monster from Monster Hunter. And I was like, oh, he's like drawing a different monster from Monster Hunter. I was like, that's so cool.
That's cool.
Some people are doing that this month. I was like, oh, because it's a shorter month. They can kind of do that. I just want to see what his Nergigante looks like. He did a great Devil Joe. I was like, that's pretty good.
Really?
Yeah. It's very cartoony.
There's a lot of good art there. There's a lot of good art there, though. Those designs are something else.
Oh, yeah. They're excellent. I love them so much. If you want to support the channel, the biggest thing you can do, just comment. Just leave a comment down below. There's a bunch of probably things popping up here for like our Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. We have a Spreadshirt, and we also have an Amazon affiliate link. So if for some odd reason you do want to buy something on Amazon, and it's a free way to help the channel, for some odd reason you click on that and then buy something, we get kickbacks. I don't know how it works. Magic. It's magic. Who knows? Just buy yourself 2 or 3 cases of Diet Canada Dry. We are not sponsored by Dr. Pepper Diet Canada Dry. However, we would love to be. Honestly, we'd be sponsored by most anything. What? Says me. Says you. Says me?
I'm sponsored.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Joe has got sponsorship. Yeah. You can have Diet Canada Dry. All the fruit smoothies of the naked fruit smoothies or whatever. Oh, those are good. My gosh, I could drink a bunch of those. Anyway, Joe, any final thoughts before we wrap it up here? No?
No, probably not. No.
He's got to get ready for his date with Hela. He's going to go check out Asgard, man.
I'm probably going to go scroll through to the highlights on Godzilla King of the Monsters because now I want to see.
Dude, no, just watch the whole thing. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. The human drama it's fine in this one. Like, it's...
Oh, yeah, and it's got the guy from Friday Night Lights in it, right?
And Bloodline.
And Bloodlines. Oh,
He's
man.
super good. And we're not talking about our boy Ben Mendelsohn, which would be so great if they made him like...
Are you blind?
Deploy the garrison.
Oh, so good.
So great every time. Yeah, if you did make it to the end of this, we will be using the hashtag no one will know how to spell Biolante. We'll just say hashtag Godzilla, because we talked about Godzilla monsters this week. Godzilla Villains. Hashtag Godzilla Villains. There you go. I'll put that all together.
Rogue Gallery.
No, it's too long. We're asking too much.
Okay, too long.
Godzilla's Rogue Gallery Villains. I think we usually get like one person who tweets these at us, so I'm trying to make the barrier for entry as low as possible. It's not like a hurdle they have to do like a backflip over. It's like it needs to be 1 inch off the ground, and they're like, okay, step over it. Yeah, so comment down below and let us know what you think of the show, and tell us about your favorite Godzilla villains. Or maybe you don't have one and you're just like, I found out about these for the first time today. And check out that link, like I said before, with the Screen Rant one, just so you can see them all. So thank you, Screen Rant, for just existing for us to do this episode. Anyway, Joe, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it as well, good sir.
And I also appreciate everybody watching and listening. And until next time, just remember to adapt and overcome. Bye-bye.